Debbie and Susie, the easiest way for me to show you how to do this purse is to just try and explain it to you. So the purse that Sue had was similar to this. Maybe it was a little boxier on the edges. I'm not sure exactly how I made it. I can't remember. But the basic idea is the same. What you're going to do is you need 3 strips of fabric, and then you're going to need another 3 strips. So I'll put this aside. If you take a look at this, I've got 3 strips of fabric, and then alternate the same 3 strips of fabric. And it works because if you turn it this way, the pattern is up, the pattern is up. So there's your strips. The strips are 6 inches. You can make them anything you want, but 6 inches by 17.5 is what my strip is. And then I sew those 6 strips together. Once I've sewn those 6 strips together, I want to back it. I want to give it some backing. Now on this one, I have used a fusible backing, which is this right here. It's single-sided fusible foam stabilizer. And it looks something like this, but it comes in a big sheet. It's on Amazon for about $15. Or on Sue's, I think I used just a plain fusible fleece that you iron on the back. If you'll come over here with the camera, Jeremy, here's a roll of it. It's just a little bit thicker than the regular fleece, but it's called fusible fleece. And I put that on the back to give it some substance. All right, so you've sewn together the 6 strips on the top. Then, of course, you want handles and a lining for this, okay? So for the handles, I use that same batting or that fusible foam. And what you do is you need a strip that is, I think it's 5 inches. Yeah, I think it's 5 inches. And you fold it in the middle. Then you fold it again and iron it. Then you stick that fleece in there and iron it down. This is going to form your handle, which you will sew. Let me grab this other one quick. You're going to sew these strips down the side of it, if you can see that, just with thread. You're going to sew about 4 of them on there as even as you can. And then you're going to cut this in half. Once it's got the sewing on it, you just clip it in half, and that's going to form your 2 handles that you're going to attach to the bag. Okay? So, you have this, and then you're going to have sewn your 2 handles. You're going to attach this handle. There's only going to be 1 of them, obviously, on each side. And I think you come in 4.5 inches here and 4.5 inches here. Just kind of sew the handle down onto there by about a 1/4 inch on there, and then reinforce it real good. But you're going to end up making a 1/2 inch seam later on this, so a 1/4 inch seam won't show. Just go ahead and sew that handle right on there. So this is your outside of the bag, and then you've got your handles attached. So then you need a lining. By the way, mine is 17.5 inches by about, I think this one is 35 in length is what it comes out to. All right, so your handles, I guess your handles are on there. They're sewn on there. And so then you want to put on your lining piece, and you're going to put it on this way. And you're going to attach that at the top and the bottom. Now, before you attach anything, you might want to put in some pockets. Make sure that your pockets come down about 6 inches from the edges. You can put any kind of pocket on there that you want. I put the flamingo one here with the openings. I happen to just folded it over and used a decorative stitch to hold it down. on that one. And on this one over here, I just folded it over and ironed it and then sewed it down. And I used the decorative zigzag around the edge. All right, just for clarification on that pocket. To make the pocket, any pocket, you take a strip of fabric and then you fold it down with your iron. Then you can do some decorative stitch along the top or just a straight line. Then, or you can double fold it. Instead of just folding it once with the decorative stitch, maybe you just want to fold it twice with a stitch. Okay? Then you want to iron in the edges like that. You would want to iron in edges. And then I wouldn't seam them down yet or anything like that. You don't need that to do that. All right, so if you're going to put the pocket on here, you got to flip it so that when you sew it here and then you flip the pocket up. Then you're going to make your seam here and up here and up here and up here, wherever you want your pockets to be. I wanted 2 big pockets and then a pen pocket, pretty much here. Or a cell phone pocket and maybe a suntan lotion pocket or whatever it is that you're doing. But pretty much, you're going to take that piece of fabric, whatever one you use. If you want to make a long pocket, just remember, don't go past your center line here. But put your pocket on there where you think you want it, then flip it and sew it on. And then you flip it back up, and that's your pocket. If it's a small pocket, that's all you got to do. If it's a big pocket, you flip it, and then you want to be sure your edges are tucked in. And then sew wherever it is you want your pocket. All right, now the next part is a little bit tricky, okay? You want to take and you want to attach the lining, so you put right sides together. It doesn't really matter. Leave your handle in here on the inside. It'll lay flatter because you don't have all those thingamajiggies in there. Line it up. So this piece is going to be 17.5 by about 35. And that's the same thing for your lining, was 17.5 by 35. You can make it any measurement you want. You could make it 18 by 35, 18 by 36, whatever size bag you want to get. Instead of using panels, you could use just one strip of fabric if you wanted. Make it as simple as you want to start. Okay, so you line it up real good, and then I use my little clippies to clip it together, whatever. But the key is what you're going to do here is you're going to sew together the ends. Now this sounds really weird, but sew together the ends. So I did that on a, well, let me just do this real quick. If you sew it together on the ends, you leave the sides open. Leave the sides open. Seems weird, but do that. Leave your sides open. I'm going to get rid of these handles for a second because they're just in the way, but leave the sides open. And just sew the ends. You say, well, that's weird. Yes, it is. But then this is going to form your lining. And so what you do then, once it's sewed, is pick it up, put the lining pieces together, and the outside fabric pieces together. That looks weird, but that's what you do. Sew up one side completely. Sew up the other side. Leave an opening and another one. Sew up this part. So it'll look like this. Pretending that this was your end. And then, so it kind of goes like this. Okay. So you sew up one side. You sew up the other side. But you leave an opening because you got to pull everything through that opening. You're going to have to be able to pull everything inside out. All right? So, sew the side, leave the opening. The next thing that you do is you want to make your corners. And so I'm going to use this little piece because it's going to be easier. To make the corners, you put your hand inside. This seam should align with this seam. It's not as easy as it looks. And you're going to form just a little corner. Like that. This is going to be 3 inches across. You take your ruler and you measure it at wherever it hits 3 inches across. 3 inches. Now that should make the center of your seam at about 1.5. So I'm a little off, but it's not bad off. Not too bad. So, whoop. There you go. So you're going to draw a seam. You're going to make a seam across here to make your corner. Just sew a line across and then I zigzag. And then you're going to cut that off. And you do that to all 4 corners of your big corners. Same thing. About 3 inches. Do it to the other 2 corners. Again, I'm doing this fast and I'm not sewing it, but you're getting the idea, hopefully. Now, this is the one that's kind of the pain in the butt, is this last one. But it will work for you, okay? It will work. You have to just line it up, this seam on that seam. And hopefully I gave it enough room. We're gonna say this is 3 inches, okay? And again, all you've done is put a line of sewing, maybe 2 lines of sewing, and a zigzag, and then clip it. Just clip it right off, okay? And because it's sewn together, it'll be fine. Just